Dr. Grossman, you're talking about metformin here at the conference. Can you explain what that is? I mean, I think a lot of people know it as a diabetes drug, but are there other uses?
Yeah, metformin is an FDA-approved drug for the treatment of type 2 diabetes, the type of diabetics that don't need insulin typically. And it's the most commonly prescribed drug of its class, with millions and millions of prescriptions written every year because it's very effective and safe. It's the only diabetes drug that doesn't increase cardiovascular risk. It's got a lot of beneficial effects. Well, there are some off-label uses that have been proposed for metformin, and in particular, the only method that has been shown so far to increase life expectancy in all of the animal experiments that's been done is caloric restriction. The problem is the caloric restriction